Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, folks. Michael Zuber, one rental at a time, back with the one and only Beth Traverso, top 1% agent in the country. How you doing, Beth?
Hey, I'm doing great, Mike. Thanks so much for having me back. Happy to be here for the third video of the day.
There you go. And thank you for being a part of the group. People are loving your new addition to the team. So thank you
Thank you.
so
I'm
much.
loving it so much myself. Yeah.
So do me a favor. Let's talk about your market. Remind people what it is and remind them that you've already suffered a 50% crash, which came out
Yes,
of nowhere. So
indeed.
set
Yes,
that up.
indeed. Thankfully, I learned from the past and
Bam.
was able to survive this with a minimal amount of anxiety. I'm not going to lie and say that it's been like fine and I'm sleeping like a baby every night. I'm not going to say that. Okay.
Yeah.
But there are things you can do to go like, okay, this is going to be all right. Here's what we're doing now. And here's what we're going to do going forward. And so I'm in the Seattle market. My particular area is on the east side of Seattle. So Seattle, there's a big giant lake, Lake Washington, and I'm mostly east of that.
Okay.
So, but basically, it's tech workers, it's Amazon, Microsoft, fill in the blank, all of that. There's a lot of parallels to the Bay Area where we are. So, yeah.
So again, that was all going well. You had amazing first half.
Yes.
Then June happened. What happened in June?
Yes.
Rates on 30-year owner aux exceeded 6% for a couple of weeks.
Yes.
And that changed the market overnight, as I heard the story.
Yes, it did. And so for me, the first 6 months of the year were a great year. Like as far as like volume and commissions earned and everything else was like, I could have just like wrapped it up for the year in 6 months, but you can't do that, right? You got to keep the
Yeah.
momentum going. We don't stop.
We never stop.
So because you lose momentum, it's not like you can just start it up again. It takes a long time to get the momentum going. So we're always pivoting, right? And so that happened. It basically was like the door slammed, and the agents that are out there in the business with their feet on the ground every week, we notice it week to week. So it might be like last week we were getting multiple offers and everything was popping. This week slammed on the brakes. It's like we're going down the freeway on the Autobahn, at 100 miles an hour, and then all of a sudden there's a traffic jam and everything comes to a standstill. We went I swear there was a couple weeks where it seemed like almost nothing went under contract in my little sub market, where it's just like everybody stopped.
Yeah.
But yet we were right in the middle of our season where inventory was piling on, and so every week we're getting more inventory without it going off. So it's like there was this clog in the line that was just building.
Yep.
And that's what I was seeing for that month there, really like June, July.
Yeah.
For me, it was about 2 months. Now you got to think, as a business owner, I have expenses, I have employees, I've got my overhead. There's nobody paying me unless I sell houses. So it's all, and be it my expenses still continue, and I'm putting houses on the market still. And so we got to shift into thinking about like what that means for us. And thankfully I have reserves, which is one thing I always coach everybody. I think agents, investors, people in general always have reserves to compensate for when things happen. If you're an investor, it might be like you have vacancies or some sort of, I don't know, tenant not paying, you have to evict, or whatever troublesome thing that can happen. You have to plan for that. So thankfully I'd planned for it. I have reserves. I also had secured lines of credit and things like that last year or earlier in the year, so I had all my different ways to get me through it. And now we're seeing, just in the last couple of weeks, a lot of my listings that have been on the market, some of them for 40 days or more, now going off the market. So now buyers are back. They're not the same group of buyers necessarily that we had earlier this year. They're new buyers.
Quick question, Beth. So you're saying off the market, meaning pending, not off the market?
Sorry. Yeah, let me clarify. Pending. They're going under contract.
Okay.
So, and I have not seen the phenomenon here so much as others have talked about with the large volume of canceled.
Okay.
And that might be more in other places where, I don't know, where people just don't really need to sell for whatever reason, but a lot of people I'm working with, they still want life to go on, and they're all disappointed. Like, oh, people know at this point when I'm talking to them that the market's not where it was before. Like, everyone's pretty much gotten the memo by now. So it's like, before we were having these unsustainable run-ups, and then now the froth got knocked off where they're not the bidding wars. Another thing that I'm seeing these days is I have had a couple listings now that have had multiple offers. Some of them, after they've been on the market for a while, now getting multiple offers.
Interesting.
However, they're not escalating up. It used to be in the first half of the year, they would go up 20 to 30% over list price. Now we're getting multiple offers, maybe barely cracking list price.
Okay.
So
let me ask you a couple questions. So I love the idea. So again, you're running hot the first half of the year. You hit this, traffic jam. Kind of June and July, did transactions crash over 50% kind of year on year?
They did. Yes.
Yeah. That's pretty
I'm
amazing.
really waiting to see the August numbers to see what happens. I think it's going to be even lower, maybe in August.
Wow. Okay.
But I think September we're going to see more.
All right. So
that's what I'm seeing in my business.
Yeah, we'll get back to September in a minute. So again, transactions crash, pricing. What happened to pricing? So you weren't getting the escalation, so that's, I guess, down from earlier in the year.
Yes, that's where our price increases were coming from, was from the buyers trying to outbid each other and going crazy. Yeah. So, that's where people were going hundreds of thousands of dollars over list price on a typical bidding.
Like, what is a typical, like, what's a medium price in your market? Like 800?
About 1.4.
Oh, geez,
so
1.4.
We're up there, so. And so it might vary. Like, the starter homes are around 800, and those might go to 950, but then back in the day, 4 months ago or whatever.
Yeah, back in the day, 4 months ago.
4 months ago, way back. And then now, but like a move up house might be like 1.2 that would go to maybe 1.5 or 6.
So let's talk about the 800 house first, because I think we're going to talk about 2023 in a minute. I want to make sure I understand. So 4 months ago, 800, you probably, assuming it's a decent house, you're going to end up selling that probably for 950-ish 4 months ago.
Yeah.
Now come June or July, the memo, people are getting the memo. The people are still listing. They want to move out of state, whatever. They list the home at 800. It's now selling for 800, 810.
Yeah.
What's
happening?
It's
selling for about 800. Yeah. Okay. And we're seeing, so what I'm seeing is like, I knew we were going to have some correction. There's no way we can have this and not have any correction. Yep. Even in 2021, we had a little bit of correction in the summertime, which for us, I know we have a little bit different seasonality here, where summertime's kind of our slow time. But the first part of the year is the busy time where the gains happen.
Interesting.
But I knew that was going to be walked back. And our July numbers show about a 6.7% up year over year. So basically we went from like 40% up down to 6.7. That's a big 30%.
Yeah, it's a 30% drop if you want to look at it that way.
Peak to trough, right? If we're in the trough or wherever we are now.
Okay.
And now I'm seeing in certain neighborhoods that I work in frequently, where I'm seeing houses now, sometimes some sellers are doing fire sales.
Oh,
they're just like, I gotta sell now. I'm pricing low. Just get it off the book. I mean, it's kind of like the offer pad. Get it off the books.
People I want to. That's what's coming. That's
and so there are some sellers that are doing that. That aren't institutions. And if you can recognize that and jump on it, you can get a good deal. So what I'm seeing, some of those are selling for prices that I sold in the same neighborhood, same house a year ago. So I'm like, whoa, have we erased all of our gains from the past year?
Interesting. Well,
that's more dramatic than I ever would have thought. And I've seen a lot. So
yeah, you've seen a lot.
I've never seen this much that fast. Like you said, in 2008, I was around that time. Like it was a slow crawl down.
It was a 5-year grind.
It was 5 years down and about 4 years up out of that.
Yeah.
So this was rapid. People are just adjusting really fast.
That is, so now I want to talk about what I see coming. Because I actually see, frankly, more pain for you, more pain for your world. So let me kind of set it up and see where because I could be wrong. So I think what we learned in June was that 6% hurts. That's what I think we learned, because what we have seen in the last 3 or 4 weeks is interest rates did roll over, right? They got below 5 there for a minute. And I think that rejiggered some demand, in my opinion. Rates are already up. They're already up over 5.5. I've already seen some people talk about going over 6 this week, next week, because again, right, the Fed said more pain is coming. I actually think, Beth, we could end the year or enter next year, not at 6, but with 7% 30-year money. So I wanted to talk about demand destruction and supply destruction, because I think what we saw in June at 6 was true demand destruction. People are like, nope, not playing this game. I'm out. What happens at 7 in your market?
What happens at 7? I think that's absolutely gonna have an impact if it goes to 7.
If
I can't even remember when it was at 7 last. I mean, I know I lived
2000. So I did loans at 7
at that time, but I can't really remember when that was. Do you?
Yeah, I think the last time I was getting 7s as an investor, I think it was 2005.
Okay.
Right. So maybe
Sounds
2004,
about right.
2005 for owner ocks, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's been a while. It's been 15 years.
Yeah, it's you have to go
It's been
way
a minute.
back and dust off the cobwebs to find that 7%, and so what was going on back then, I guess that was frothy times, there was that was about 2005 or so was when
Was
the
right at the
crazy
peak.
loan options started coming out,
Yeah,
and
it was
I
exactly
wonder.
right. That's exactly right.
And
It
if
was
those, I don't think those are coming back. I really hope they don't. But if they did, people would be like, "Oh, I only need to qualify based on 2% interest and negative amortization." That's not coming back. I don't. I sure hope not. Is anybody doing those loans? I
no,
hope
those
not.
are.
Okay.
I think they're
Are they
actually
outlawed?
illegal.
I think
Yeah,
they're
I think they're
illegal. They
outlawed.
should be illegal. I mean, look what it did.
Yeah.
So, but I do think people are starting to go to more arms and things like of
Yeah,
that
it's
nature.
gone from
Before we start
2%
seeing
to
more buy
12%.
downs.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised I haven't seen more interest rate buy downs in my market. It seems like something that people should be maybe
They should
doing
be.
more,
Yeah, if
but
you
I
were
haven't
writing up
seen that
offers,
much.
I would put those in there. But I
Mhm.
also wanted, because so demand destruction is almost easy to calculate, because again, it's, can I get a yes answer from a bank or not?
Yeah.
I actually want to talk about supply destruction,
Mhm.
because again, I think what we saw a little bit and what we're seeing a little bit now, maybe not in your market, but certainly in a lot of the country, a lot of people are listing, not getting their wish pricing, and they're saying, you know what, we'll just stay put.
Yeah.
And I think
Yes,
that happens more at 7 than 6.
I think so. Well, I think when it comes down to where people can't accomplish their goals, like if their plan is to retire to Arizona or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
I get a lot of people in my area that are selling and using the equity to fund their retirement, their exit. Like, we're out
Yeah.
of here, we're retiring, we're going to someplace else where we're gonna
Yeah.
live the life that we want to live. If it gets to a point where they feel like they can't do that, then they're not gonna proceed. If
They'll
they feel
just
like they,
they'll stay another year. That's where I think we're
Mhm.
going, right? If rates go to 7, you're going to hear a lot of people say things like, Beth, I would love to sell, but it's a horrible time to sell. We're going to spend one more winter in Seattle.
Yeah, and you know what? I respect that if people want. I'm never gonna be one of those people to say you got to sell your house if it's not the right time. I've had some people say like we need a certain price, and if the market's not going to give that now, then maybe they should look at renting.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll shift to a conversation about investing, which is one of my favorite topics. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just all about like trying to help people with whatever path they decide is the best. But I think you are going to see more people that are going to want to explore their other options, like keep it for a while, rent
Yeah.
it, live there still, like maybe there's another way they can achieve what they need to do. They're gonna be looking at all the options, but it's definitely gonna put a damper on things.
Yeah, I
There's
think 7% really screws with supply. Because again, right, in your area where people are exiting, right, they spent 20 years in Seattle. They're like, oh, I guess we're going to spend it 21st.
Yeah.
All right. And then the other thing that you just brought up is really interesting. John Burns Real Estate Consulting, shout out that team. They just put out a tweet yesterday, I believe, talking about 10% at weighted average of LA listings have turned into rentals. Sellers
Oh.
didn't get their price. They went
Mhm.
rentals. 9% of Dallas, 4% of Florida.
I'd be
This
really
is,
curious what that is in the Seattle
yeah,
area.
it wasn't on the list. Sorry, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Darn.
We'll never
Let's
know. I don't know
let's
how to look that up. I don't know
yeah,
how we
yeah.
did
Well,
that, but
I would reply to their tweet saying, "Hey, I'm a big shot.
okay.
I'm a
Yeah.
big shot in Seattle. Tell me about Seattle. See what they say."
Yeah, yeah.
So
No, I
again,
think
I think
it's one of
supply
the
just comes off.
options out there. Yeah, I think supply. I'm already seeing it. So we're seeing inventory dwindling down, down, down.
I think we end
Um,
the year. This is crazy to say. I think we end the year nationally and probably most markets with less inventory in December than we have in August. Wait for that. That'll be scary to think about.
I'm thinking about that already because in our seasonality is it dwindles down to life support levels in a normal year in December. And then buyers are ready to rock and roll after the holidays, but it takes a little while for sellers to get their house ready to put on the market. So that friction
Yeah.
is what is the lighter in the gasoline can that's what blows it up every year in January, February. But is that going to happen in 2023? I honestly don't know. I'm glad that
If rates are 7%, not happening.
no.
It'll skip a year.
Yeah, even in my area where people can afford a lot, I think that it's going to have an impact without a doubt. And that's why it's important for, me as somebody who's 100% commission based. I get no salary from anyone. If I don't sell houses, I don't make money.
Yeah.
That
This
I'm
is
gonna
this is the conversation. I think you've got a taste of it, 6%.
Mm-hmm.
And again, who knows? I mean, I put out the video that things are going to 7, and some people think they're going to 4. Like Fannie Mae said they're going to go to 4.5. I'm like, what do you do? Well,
I'm
how could?
confused by that. I've heard a
Yeah,
lot of chatter on both sides, which just goes to say, like, I don't know that
I have no
anybody
idea.
really
Yeah.
knows
No.
anything. I can't predict, but
Yeah.
judging by what's happened the last, week or few days, where it sounds like, definitely rates are going to be going up, at least for now.
Yeah.
And but they honestly need to. It's like if we're going to do this, I'm on
Let's,
the of
yeah.
the
If we're gonna do it, let's do it. Right.
let's not tear the band-aid off slow. That's why one thing I like about my market is like people realize what was going on. They adjusted fast, they dropped their price. I mean, it's not uncommon to see. I just saw this morning somebody dropped a price on a listing like $150,000. And I'm like, that is not unusual on some of these higher priced ones. They're like, we were at 1.6, now we're at 1,450,000, and just like let's just get there realistic.
Yeah.
And so that's a good thing, like we want people to be realistic and respond to what the market's telling us. And
Yeah.
if the market's going to be telling us that we're going to be going into a time of, lower inventory and lower demand, I'll be curious to see what that does to prices, right? That's what everybody's watching. But if
Yeah.
there's nothing for sale and there's always going to be some people need to move. I don't know that we're going to see huge drops.
Yeah, if you again, this is the magic of supply and demand, right? People are like, "Oh my God, demand's falling, prices have to fall." What if supply falls worse? Because
Yeah,
some
people
people
don't
always
think
have to
about
buy.
that. And
And
here's
yeah,
the thing too, is like prices don't fall in a vacuum. It's not like everything else remains great and prices fall. There's reasons why. And those
hmm,
are reasons that make people some
scared.
people not want to buy a
Yeah,
house. So you got to look at that. Like if the affordability goes down, like if your numbers don't work,
yeah, they don't work. Yeah,
so what if the price went down, so it
still
needs
doesn't work.
gotta, yeah. So it's a holistic
Yeah,
method of, yeah. So,
yeah.
and I know that you spend a lot of time talking about that, which I think
Uh,
gives people a lot of really good insight.
I'm really nervous for 2023 for the economy, for stocks, for real estate, and agents.
Yeah.
I have to tell you that I think there's a good chance that 2023 is the worst year for transactions since like the early 80s, which is yucky.
Yeah, and I wasn't around back then, so I don't know. I've been doing this since 1998.
Yeah.
But one thing I can say that might be a good way to wrap this up is like it makes me really glad that I'm financially free through real estate investing. So even
Hmm.
if it hits the fan in a major way,
Hmm.
I'm hoping it doesn't, but if it does, I know I can still have a business that's going to work because there's always going to be people that need
Yeah.
guidance.
Yeah.
But you know,
Well, the other thing to realize is
reassuring.
it'll never go to zero. There's
Will
always
never go to
the
zero.
creative opportunities, seller financing. People still want to exit. You can do your ability, Beth, to do seller finance deals next year will be 10x what they are this year. Because some people will say, I want to go to Phoenix, I want to go to Tempe, I want to do whatever. And then you will just do what you do, work out a great seller financing deal, give them a second if they want, so they get a little
Yeah.
money now,
Mm-hmm.
and it'll be win-win. Your ability
I
to
love it.
add to your portfolio next year will be far easier than this year. Your transaction, your day job will be harder. Your investing job will be light years easier. So that's how I would
Yes.
look at it.
Silver lining, there's always pros and cons to every market, every market. And those who pivot and adapt and learn how to find opportunity, and as agents who know how to advocate for their clients to help them achieve their goals despite whatever's happening out there in the market, those are the ones that are going to win.
Yep. Beth, where can people find you?
You can find me at bethtraversogroup.com or also on Facebook or in the ORAT Facebook group.
Awesome. Thank you, Beth. Thank you for all you do.
All right. Thanks.
Mhm.